I'm Lana McAra, and I help people feel younger. Welcome to Now It's My Turn, coming to you from the greater Philadelphia area. We're here every Friday afternoon on YouTube. And today we're going to talk about living abroad in 2020. Does it really make sense anymore? It's a really good topic. I'm looking forward to it. Our purpose each week is to open the door for the 50-plus woman to live a life she absolutely loves. Today's 50-plus woman is vibrant, alive, filled with passion, purpose. She's a powerful force for good in the world, and we are here to unleash that power and break through social programming that says we're half done. No, we're not half done. We're just getting started. We're exposing the myths to show that our best years are still ahead, where each woman can say, now it's my turn. Now it's my turn to create a life that I absolutely love. And this involves two questions. First of all, who am I? Who am I now in the world? And the second question, what do I really want? What do I want for my life? If you don't sit down and think about that, then you're probably not going to get there. You're just going to wander around and never get really focused. So what do you really want? Think about that. Women oftentimes push themselves to the side and they don't really get clear on it. So those two questions for sure. Well, get your pen and paper. As always, there's going to be a lot of really good information here, and we're going to bring our speakers in as soon as we do our, okay, I'm going to cut that out. As soon as we do our meditation, we always start with that meditation. So here we go. Okay, just get settled in the chair, take a deep breath, feel your body, and relax. And then focus on your heart and the warm, loving energy in your heart. Let it come forward and let it swell and fill your chest. That's right. And as you feel the warmness of your loving energy filling your chest, just let it expand a little further and let it fill your whole body. From the top of your head, down to the bottoms of your feet, out to the ends of your fingers. Just fill yourself up with this loving, beautiful energy. That's right. You know that this loving feeling actually boosts your immune system. It makes a lot of things better in your body. So this is a really good space to be. And you can come back here anytime you want. Just focus in and let it swell. That's all there is to it. Now, once again, let your heart energy expand and fill the room from the ceiling to the floor, from wall to wall. Just let your heart energy swell and fill the entire room. And now let it swell even further and fill the whole building, from the roof to the basement, the entire building, whether you're in a condo, in an apartment complex, hotel, if you're in your house. Fill the building with this wonderful, loving energy. You know, a lot of times what we do on this program is a lot of brain games. I love brain games because they really do help us to get clear on things and release things and so forth. But this is not a brain game. This is reality, because the Heart Math Institute shows that our heart energy is actually an electromagnetic signal, like a wave that goes out. They've measured it with instruments. And so when we do this, we are actually changing the atmosphere and the energy around where we are. And we can just keep pushing it out through intention. And so now let's just go ahead and swell it out over the region, the entire city or the area. And just imagine that your loving heart energy is just swelling out over the residential area, the schools, the hospitals, all of the whole complete area where you are. When people do this, the crime rate goes down. Proven fact. Now let's just keep going all the way out to the continent, North America, South America, Europe, Asia, Africa, Australia, because we are international here. And so what happens then is that when my energy that I'm on the East Coast of the United States swells out and crosses over the energy of our guest today in South America, we connect. And it forms this energetic grid around the entire earth. And the healing for one becomes the healing for all. And we're better together than we are alone. That's right. And so now let your heart energy just go all the way around the globe and come back to you and make it complete. That's right. We are so much more powerful than we realize. We just access what's inside. Okay, let's get our guest in here. I am so excited for this broadcast today. Welcome.
Thank you.
Edd and Cynthia Staton are America's best-known expats. They're authors of 3 best-selling books and creators of the revolutionary Master Course called Retirement Reimagined. Welcome.
Thank you.
Nice to be back.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Well, this is your 3rd time with us. And I have to tell everyone, I keep inviting you to come back because you're so exciting. What you're doing is just amazing. So,
thank you.
And we also have a lot of fun too while we're on here. So I have been concerned, and this is so timely. When you were in the schedule, I didn't have any idea about, the COVID lockdown thing.
Right.
But I know I've been really curious about what it's like. You're over in Ecuador, South America, and what your experience has been with this entire pandemic thing going on.
Well, it's in a lot of ways not that different from what we've read it's been like for you. Ecuador was, I think, the first country to impose a super strict lockdown, shut down the borders, so forth and so on. And interestingly, as of the end of the day tomorrow, we are going to be about the first country on a national level to undo the restrictions that have been in place. I mean, they've kind of gotten less and less restrictive as we've gone along. And it appears that as of Sunday, we're going to be back to, we're going to do the masks and we're going to do the social distancing. But aside from that and a few other regulations, things are kind of going to get back to normal here. But yeah, to begin with in March, it was super strict.
Well, our experience was very similar to a lot of places initially in the States.
Mm-hmm.
So even though we're in South America, we experienced all the lockdowns and the restrictions that you probably did.
Right. Where I am in Delaware, we were one of the first where they closed the borders of the state. And nobody was allowed to, they had state troopers on the border to make sure that, because we're a beach state.
Right.
And there were a lot of people coming down from New York because they wanted to get out of the city, but they were bringing it to us. And
Right.
So we had the same situation, very, very strict state troopers on the roads and everything. But now, there are people at the beach and have been all summer. They're enforcing some restrictions, but it's been, a lot better as far as that goes.
It was tough to start with.
Yes.
There were curfews that were really strict, and still they're doing things that only the cars can go on certain days depending on what the last digit of their license plate is and all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a car, so it really didn't affect us. We walk most everywhere, but most things closed except just basic services like grocery stores and pharmacies.
And banks. That was the 3 things that you could do for weeks, really. And we weren't even supposed to do that because of our age. But since we don't have family here, we just kind of had to ignore that one. And, we look so healthy that it would have been weird to get carded at our age, but.
On the other end, instead of being too young.
But what we did do is we didn't frequent the grocery stores as often. We tried to think ahead so that we wouldn't have to go out and expose ourselves unnecessarily. So we did some planning that we don't normally have to do in that regard.
I was joking with Cynthia that as opposed to when we were teenagers, we maybe needed to get a reverse fake ID to make us younger instead of older.
Oh, that's so funny. what about runs on the grocery store? You know, we had about a month here where you could go in and there was empty shelves everywhere you looked. Did you have that there?
You know what, the funny thing, we heard about that in the States, and it hadn't happened here yet, but we were, I guess, probably ran about 2 weeks behind what was happening in the States. So the first time we were in the grocery store was right before everything shut down, and everything was there. So we bought a bigger supply of what we would need. And I think there was a little bit of run on maybe toilet paper or alcohol or wipes or things like that. But we had already, you know, kind of stocked up, but not severely on those types of things. So no, we never had a problem with that, really.
And it went from going through all kind of gyrations to even get in the store with taking your temperature and
a lot of spray.
getting sprayed and wearing gloves and all kind of crazy stuff and standing in line for like up to an hour sometimes. We found out one of the great things about living here is there's something called tercera edad, which means third age.
We get special privileges.
Yeah, but we didn't know about that at first, but we saw some older people, some gringos up at the front, and I went up and said, "What's going on?" And he said, "Oh, we don't have to cut the line." And I'm like, "Really?" So, to heck with that standing in line an hour business. We were done with that. But over the months, it's been interesting. It's gone from that hour line to just walking in the store now. And that's probably a combination of, like you said, the overstocking thing and the reality that a lot of, it's not funny, but I think a lot of people are kind of short on money.
Yeah.
You spent it all already, stocking up. Yeah, I had the same situation where they have these circles on the sidewalk that they pasted down to show you 6 feet, and people were around the block waiting to get into different places. They have a limit on how many people can be in the store, and so you can't go in until somebody else comes out and all that stuff. But that only lasted for maybe 3 weeks or so. Yeah, it was just a temporary thing. So yeah. So after having come through this, because this is one of the things that I know a lot of people have question about, because there is an American mindset that we are the safest place to be anywhere in the entire universe. So when something like this would happen, a big disaster kind of thing, does it still make sense to be in someplace else other than here?
Yeah, well, I'll talk about the healthcare aspect of it, because that's, even in the best of times, that's one question about moving to a different country is, am I going to go to a doctor or a witch doctor? And the reality is our system here, like your system there, it bent, but it didn't break. So everything was fine. I mean, the beds were at capacity and all that sort of thing. And an interesting thing about that is we're not geared up for this sort of thing, because the median age in Ecuador is only like 26.9 or something like that.
Wow.
So we didn't have a bunch of respirators just sitting around. But yeah, everything was fine in that regard. We never had any concern. We didn't have a problem, but had we had a problem, we had no concern about that. So the healthcare was totally up to par throughout the whole pandemic.
Yeah, I mean, and we would have, if we had contracted the virus, we would have felt totally confident going to our doctor, going to a hospital here, because we've used the health care. We've been living here for over a decade. And so in that regard, we never had a second thought about, oh my gosh, are we going to be in trouble if we get the virus? Should we get out of Ecuador? That was never a thought that we had.
And to the larger question that you ask about, does it make sense, period, about moving to another country or something like that? We actually wrote about that on a blog on our website. And the truth is, it's always made sense for the reason it makes sense, as far as the lower cost of living and the healthcare, much more affordable, and the weather and all that sort of thing. But given what's happening in the US right now, with the 50+ group that is your group being the most adversely affected with layoffs and that sort of thing,
yes,
it kind of makes more sense than ever for older people that are nearing retirement, because there's a ton of people that we're reading are being forced into early retirement. They may not know it yet until they try to find another job.
Yeah.
But the reality is, and we know this, the statistics, that's not easy to say, on this, that it takes people over 50 that lose their job unexpectedly a way long time to find another job. And literally only 1 out of 10 ever makes the same money that they made before getting laid off. So that's the harsh reality that's facing a lot of people, and they may not even have hit that wall yet, thinking, oh, it's going to be great. We thought the same thing in 2008 when the Great Recession caused us to lose our jobs and ended up being here. So it's just happening all over again.
Yes, yes, exactly. And then there are people like me who work at home. You know, I could definitely work, just keep working. As long as I was online, you know, there wouldn't be any real difference. So I really like what you said about you've already lived there more than 10 years. You're settled in, you know the place, and you're comfortable with the way things are handled there. And that gave you really, you were prepared
Right.
rather than somebody who'd lived there for 6 months and didn't really know, you know, their way around at this point, which is what I really love about your coaching program, to help people get through this, because we don't know what we don't know about, you know, where we're going, how to navigate, and that kind of thing. Could you talk about that just a little bit, about the service that you do offer to help people who are looking to make that move?
Sure. We developed a program to help people do this thing called retire abroad, or just move abroad, even if you're not retired yet. And it's really comprehensive. It's a step-by-step program. And I was interested to hear your intro meditation. You talk a lot about trying to figure out what it is you want at this stage in your life. And that is the very first section of our program. We don't jump into the how-to until we talk a lot about and give suggestions for how to figure that out. Because there's nothing worse than deciding that you're going to do this thing called move abroad and end up in the wrong place for the wrong reasons, just because you didn't do that upfront internal work that you need to do.
Yeah, kind of the why to instead of the how to, because history shows that the most successful expats are the ones that move towards something instead of away from something. And you have a blank palette when you're doing this thing called moving abroad. You're not just moving across town or even to another state. You're starting over, basically. So you get to ask yourself, if I'm going to give myself this opportunity, what would that look like? And a lot of people, if they don't do that upfront legwork, they just do the knee-jerk thing of thinking, well, I'll go somewhere like I like to go on vacation. And
that's usually not a great idea.
That might work, but think about it. Why do you go on vacation? To get away from your daily life, not for it to become your daily life. And there's a big difference between going someplace for a week or two as opposed to 24/7, 365, because a lot of the things that you think are part of the local charm for a couple of weeks may drive you nuts. Like if you go to the beach and you can't ever get the sand out of your house and all that sort of thing. So, we spend a lot of time on that up front.
And of course, then we, go into the how to research the locations once you figure that out, how to take a scouting trip, then how to actually unravel your life and get yourself ready to move to another country, and then sort of what to do once you get there in the beginning. So it really takes you from where you are right now, even if you don't have a passport, to stepping off that plane in your new country abroad.
Yeah, like we say, we take you from clueless to confident.
Yes, yes. After having lived abroad myself, 14 years, I lived in the Caribbean, on Caribbean island. One of the things I learned, which is I just love what you're doing so much because of the practical part of it, and that is when you arrive in a new location, a new country, you don't really know where's the safe district, where's the the lower, what we would call the inner city. You don't want to move in there,
Right.
The gangs and the shootings and everything else. You want to be in a safe place. You want to have what you need, and you don't know that unless you get some help to find out what that is. Because when you go to, say, rent a house or buy a house or whatever, there's only one thing that real estate agent has in mind. If you're
Putting you in that house.
They don't really care what goes on at midnight or after in the neighborhood.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So getting coaching, getting help to know what to look for, the questions to ask, and how to find the answers is so valuable, so incredibly valuable. So what you're doing is absolutely phenomenal. I'm totally for you guys. I love you so much.
Well, thank you.
So what would you say to somebody who's been kicking it around? Because I heard that lately Google has been hot with people looking for this information, how to move abroad. So what would you tell someone like that?
Well, it would be if there's a couple of things to do, because travel is a little difficult, although I'd like to mention that we're getting on a plane next Wednesday to go visit our family. Hooray, finally. Our trip in April got canceled, obviously. There was this thing going on then. And so we're going back, but it's a bit more problematic and people are a little antsy about getting on a plane. But in the meantime, you can do the first thing that we talked about. Ask yourself if this makes sense to you. What would I want it to be like? And then based on that, you can start looking at countries just in places within the country, because I mean, like here in Ecuador, you can live in the mountains like we do. You can live at the beach. It's not just like the country. Like the United States is not just living in that country. So you can kind of drill it down. So those are the first two things that you really need to do. Because like I said, you need to be moving towards something, not away from something. There's obviously a lot in the US right now with the social unrest and the polarization politically and all that sort of thing, that people are thinking, I got to get out of here. This is not the country I grew up in. And we get that.
Yes.
Well, and I want to add just, we've spent, oh gosh, the last year and a half, almost 2 years, putting together our website. And it's really packed with a lot of great information about this whole idea. So one of the first things you need to do is educate yourself. Is this, what would it be like? And our website is a great place to start. We offer a lot of in-depth reports and information and coverage on this whole idea about retiring or living abroad.
Yeah, we've been fortunate enough with people like you that we've been featured in articles on a wide variety of subjects, from how does Medicare work outside the country and a host of other topics that we were the guests on instead of the initiators of the content, but that's all on the website as well.
That is really, really good. I'm so glad for that. What is the website name?
Well, it's just us, www.eddandcynthia.com, Edd with 2 Ds.
Perfect. I love that. So what would be some of the questions that someone would ask to get clear on what they wanted? I know climate is one of the major things. Some people love the cold. I don't.
Right.
I don't.
We don't
ever
know
want to
any
be
of
in
them,
winter.
but I guess there is somebody.
Yes, there's a few people that live up in the extreme north, and I always wonder, why do you live there? I guess because they've always lived there, and maybe they don't know that there's different weather somewhere else. I don't know.
Well, basic questions that you would ask. I mean, lower cost of living is just kind of a given, but there's a lot of places with the lower cost of living that you may not want to live, like Bangladesh or something.
Yes, right.
So the weather is an important one. A really important one is how far do you want to be from your family and friends? Because, for instance, you may think that Thailand and Malaysia sound great, but it takes forever to get there and back.
Yeah.
And if you want to be like us within a few hours of your family, then you're going to need to focus probably on Latin America as an example, because even Europe is a 6-hour time difference, and that's not so bad travel wise, but you got the problem of staying in touch wise, because it's always too late or too early to call. Oh gosh, what time is it? Never mind, they're already in bed.
Yeah, and that's something a lot of people don't think of, is what time zone do you want to end up being in? Because we don't observe daylight savings time here, but we are in the Eastern time zone, and it really because our kids are on the East Coast and our grandchildren, it makes it easy to you know, give a quick call once they get once their school's over, or we can kind of jive with their schedules and communicate and be part of their lives.
Yeah, and I mean, we've had so many people, maybe you can believe it, but we've had people coming to Ecuador saying, yeah, you know, Edd and Cynthia, I can't decide whether I want to live in the mountains or on the coast.
Oh,
And we're like,
they gotta back up.
you got to do better than that. That's two totally different things. What do you want to wake up to every day?
Yeah.
You know, it's just some real basic stuff like that. But things like, do you want cultural amenities? We have a symphony here, and well, it's not open right now, but in normal times, symphony and art galleries and museums and all that sort of thing. If you live on the coast here, you have none of that. So you have to decide all these sorts of things. Do you want a walkable lifestyle like we have? Do you want to have a car? All these are factors that you need to take into consideration, because for the most part, if you do the research properly, you can have all of them.
Wow, I love that. You can have all of them. Yeah.
You don't have to just say, well, I guess I'll settle for that, which is,
right.
I mean, the reality is in the United States, if you don't have enough money saved, and a lot of people don't, you're going to come face to face with the reality of working forever, depending on your family for support, or maybe descending into poverty. And none of those are great choices. We're living on a Social Security budget here in Ecuador, and we live to most people's level and upscale lifestyle.
Well, and you know, we say this over and over again, living better for less. And if that is an objective that you have, then you can certainly do that if you look outside U.S. borders.
Right, right. I know there are a lot of people moving to Costa Rica and other places where, you know, they want to live in the tropics and they love the, you know, that atmosphere and the sea breezes and everything else. You know, that might be fine, but you need to know, I mean, if you love to snow ski, maybe you need to be, you know, where there's some snow.
And the reality is about Costa Rica specifically, since you mentioned it, expats have been going there for so long that the bloom is kind of off the rose there as far as a low-cost destination. It's certainly lower than living in a lot of places in the States, but you couldn't live in Costa Rica for the budget that we live on here in Ecuador and have the same lifestyle. It just is impossible. And these are the things that we help people with through our program, and that you can certainly, you know, do some research on your own. One thing I want to mention real quickly, during this time, we've experienced the same thing that so many people have, we've read about in the States, and that is closer to family, not like in physical proximity, but we've been Zooming away. We didn't used to Zoom. We were just Skypers in the past, but we've double dipped now into Zoom and Skype, and we're helping the kids with some of because two of our grandchildren are remote right now, and we've been helping with their lessons and all this stuff. It's been a joy, kind of. So we can't wait to actually be there in person next week, but it's been terrific to really be closer to our family. That's the kind of the one bright spot that's happened with the pandemic, I think, is a lot of people have appreciated that closeness of family.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up, because my family set up a Sunday night get together, and I can have all 7 of my adult children on the Zoom call at one time. We've never talked to each other in a group like that for years, over 10 years, because we never thought of jumping on Zoom. Never occurred to us. So yeah, we feel closer to each other now than we did before. And it's almost like, why didn't we think of this? This is great.
We're online gaming with our family. Who knew?
So am I. I, for the first time, am trying out Dungeons and Dragons. Never done it before. And my son, my 41-year-old son, is teaching me how to do it. I think there's a lot of entertainment value in that for him. But
one we'd recommend also Ticket to Ride. That's a fun game.
Okay. Oh, I tell you, it is just amazing how if you look at life in a certain way, whatever happens, you can find a bright spot, and you can truly appreciate what is in your life in, you know, in that way, which is one of the reasons why I love connecting with you, because you're always upbeat and appreciating too. Yeah.
Well, thanks. Well, the reality is, you know this, thoughts are things,
Yeah.
and you own your thoughts. So you get to decide what you're going to think about. And if you look for all the bad, it's there. And if you look for all the good, it's there also. So we choose to look for the good. It's not really, why would you choose otherwise? But so many people appear not to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. Well, thank you so much. This has been amazing. And I give us your website again. It's going to be in the bottom, also underneath this in the YouTube, you know, description box. But go ahead and tell us, you know, how to get in touch with you. I know there's going to be people who want to.
It's www.eddandcynthia.com.
Awesome.
Edd with 2 D's. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much. Well, we'll see you next time. There will be a next time, I'm sure.
Thank you so much.
Reunited, and it feels so good. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Wasn't that great? That was awesome. So one of the things I really appreciated about what we said today, or what we were talking about, was what do you really want? Because I think that is the crux of the whole issue of where you live, how you can, you know, construct your life, how you put your life together, and doing it in an intentional way, not just by default, but actually create your life. And the first question is, first of all, who am I? And how do I see myself? And then what do I want? Because this is something that's come up for me lately, and I wanted to take just a minute. And at the time, I didn't even know that we were going to end up there, you know, in the interview just before here. But a friend of mine had a father pass away. And in the conversation with him, I got a real review, like it refreshed my memory of, you know, when my own father passed away. And that is when you come into that, you know, like face to face with mortality and you know, lifespan questions, to think, you know, what do I want with my life? What do I want it to look like from here out? How can I create the life that I truly, truly love? It's a multi-layered thing, isn't it? And as we were talking about, you know, getting clear on, you know, what climate you love, what area you want, what type of amenities you want to have near you. For me, I'd love to have some nice restaurants that I could walk to. Wouldn't that be great? And those kind of things that you get clear on, you know, how to create your life. But the other thing is that what do you want to occupy yourself with? What do you want the focus of your time to be? And I have been really thinking about that in the last couple of weeks, because it feels to me like this summer has been almost like a transition time of, at least in my life, of, you know, what I'm doing now and where do I want to go from here? Because I have had some opportunities to expand my speaking and be on live stages and so forth. And I'm scheduled to be at Columbia University in the spring. So this whole idea, what do I really want, is really, really important. And so take some time to consider that. Take some time to settle in on that and make a list, write it down. Because if you write it down, you bring in your mind and focus on it, and make a list of what you want, and then rate them. What's most important, second important, third important? If you ever done the passion test, that's exactly what it is. It's a simple little test, but it really helps us to get in tune with what we really want. And what's been coming up for me is I want to do more healing work. I am a healer and I do healing work, but I want to do more of it. And so I'm going to start holding live healing sessions in the Facebook group. If you go to nowitsmyturn.com, you'll go into the Facebook group, and I'm going to start doing some Facebook Lives where I actually do healing work in the room right there. And so if you aren't a member of the Facebook group, go over there and join. get in on this, because this is my heart. And when you're in this space, think about what you want. What do you want? Is there something that you've been wanting to do for a long time and you've been putting it off, or maybe you pushed it back like, oh, I don't know, I might not be good at it. Forget about that. Make some steps to follow your dream and do what you want to do, not what everyone else thinks you should do. We are about to launch a summit, a virtual summit called The New Unstoppable You. Goes right along with this. This is a theme, it seems like, for this entire year. So please subscribe. If you aren't subscribed, we're going to be putting announcements up within the next couple of days. It's going to be over in the Facebook group, nowitsmyturn.com. And this is going to be a really life-changing summit to help get you back in the driver's seat. It seems like this whole year of 2020 has just taken us all out of the driver's seat. We're just following along with all these different things, just like a ball being bounced around. Well, you know, this is September now. Let's get back in the driver's seat. Let's figure out what we want and make some steps to get there and take life back. Get on the steering wheel and start driving. That's where we are now. I don't know about you, but I'm really tired of it. I'm ready to get rolling. And so join us over there. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. We'll see you next time. Bye now.